Yo, what's up YouTube? I hope all of you are having a great day so far. In today's upload, we are going to be going over the best PC graphics settings for Season 4 of Warzone. Sorry if you're a console player, but this video is going to be for all my PC guys out there. So in this video, we will be going over all the Windows settings to maximize your FPS in game. If you have a Nvidia graphics card, we'll be going through the control panel and we'll go through all the filters and make your game look as best as possible with the best FPS as possible. And we will be going over all the graphics settings in game. If you find this video helpful at all, a like would be greatly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video and you want the best classes in Warzone, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We are on our way to 25,000 subscribers, but without further ado, let's get right into the video. So to start things off, you want to go down here to the search bar and you want to type in background apps. Once you do that, you want to click on this, and then once this loads, you want to make sure you turn this off, because if this is on, you are going to have all these apps in the background that are going to be running and it's going to hurt your FPS in game, and so you just want to make sure you turn this off. The next thing you want to type in the search bar is going to be power and sleep settings. Once this pulls up, you want to go to additional power settings, click on that, and then you just want to make sure this is on high performance. Once you do that, you want to go back down to the search bar and you want to type in game mode. Once you get to game mode, you want to make sure this is on, and then you want to go to your graphics settings and then you want to turn this on as well. Say you start to lose some frames and your PC can't really handle it, then I would turn this off, but if you have a pretty decent PC, you should be able to run your games with this on, and you should be able to get more frames in game because this will be on. Once you do that, for the last thing, you want to go to your Xbox game bar, click on this and make sure this is off. You'll get way more frames in game if this is off, and I think that's going to wrap it up for the Windows settings. So for the next thing, if you have a Nvidia graphics card, this will apply to you. If not, I'm sorry. So if you do have a Nvidia graphics card, you want to right click on your desktop and then you want to go to Nvidia control panel. Once this loads up, you want to go over here, you want to make sure this is on use the advanced 3D image settings. So I actually don't really know too much about these things. I just have a buddy that kind of gave me all the correct settings, watched a couple of YouTube videos. So after doing all my research, I just figured out these are the best settings. But if you guys leave comments of like actually asking about these, I can't really answer because I'm not too PC savvy. For the manage 3D settings, you want to click on this and then you pretty much just want to copy all of mine. And so I'll just slowly scroll through here and you guys can just pause the video and copy all of these settings. Once you do that, you want to go down to configure surround physics, and then you just want to make sure you select your graphics card right here. For the display settings, so go to change resolution, and then you don't want to choose one of these up in the Ultra HD. Actually will make you lose frames and stuff, and so you want to make sure you go down to PC and then just choose the native resolution. I got a 1920 by 1080, nothing crazy, and so that's the one I'm going to select. And then you want to go over here to your refresh rate and make sure you actually are on the max refresh rate. For the next thing I want to show you guys, if you don't use the Nvidia filters at all, but you do want to make the game a little bit more vibrant and look a little bit better, then I suggest going over to the display, go to adjust desktop color settings, and then I would just mess with these in game and find like a perfect balance for you. So with all that said, that's going to wrap it up for the Windows settings, the Nvidia control panel settings. Now let's actually go into a game and go through all these settings. So to start things off, for the field of view, I like to play on 120, but this is all personal preference. Just so you know, the higher the FOV, the harder it is to hit the enemies, because the enemies are going to be a little bit smaller. The aim assist box is going to be smaller, and so it's a lot harder to hit your enemies on 120 versus 80 FOV. But that 120 makes it so you can have like nice movement. It looks pretty satisfying to watch, and so those are the reasons I do 120. And just below the field of view, you want to go to advanced, and then you just want to make sure this is unaffected. It's pretty much going to keep the same FOV when you ADS and when you're not ADS. For the brightness, this is all monitor specific. I would just increase this value until you get to the requirements on the right side. For the horizontal and the vertical HUD, this is all personal preference. I would just move around this value until you find something that you like. For the on-demand texture streaming, you want to make sure this is on disabled. For the minimap shape, you want to make sure this is on square, just in case there's like an enemy in this top right corner. If you have circle, you can't see, but if you got the square, you can see the guy right here. And so pretty much it's just going to make it so you can see more enemies. For the minimap rotation, I have mine on enabled. For the compass cardinal direction text, I have mine on numbers. And so if I see an enemy at like 270, for example, it's a lot easier to say 270 rather than like west 240, west 250. For the telemetry, you should probably have this enabled just so you can see how many FPS you're getting in game. For the server latency, I have mine on enabled so I can see my ping in the game. For the graphics settings, if you want the best FPS and minimal input lag as possible, you want to make sure this is on full screen. For me, I do full screen borderless just because I do stream a lot, and so I hate having to tab out of the screen to go do something on my monitor. And so for me personally, just because I stream a lot, I like to do full screen borderless, but if I wasn't a streamer, I would for sure do full screen. For the screen refresh rate, you want to make sure this is on the highest number possible. For the render resolution, you want to make sure this is on 100. For the aspect ratio, I have mine on automatic. For the sync every frame resync, you want to make make sure this is on disabled unless you get screen tearing. If you get screen tearing, then you want to make sure this is on enabled. It'll fix it, but you will have more input lag. For the custom frame rate limit, you want to make sure this is on custom, not unlimited, and then you want to go to advanced, and you want to make sure you max out this just so you get as many frames as possible. Even though you can't see it, you'll just get more frames just in general. You'll get more of like a stable 140 or whatever your max is. And then for the menu custom and the out of focus, you want to make sure this is on 60 so your PC isn't working hard when it doesn't need to. For the Nvidia highlights, you want to do disabled. You get more FPS in game. For the Nvidia reflex low latency, you want to make sure this is on enabled plus boosted. This is the best one, and most of these settings are for more of like a medium to like higher end PC. If you have like a low end PC, you might want to reduce these a little bit, but most people have like a medium end PC. For the display gamma, I have mine on 2.2. For the details and textures, you want to make sure normal. Texture resolution, you want to do normal unless you have a bad PC. If you got a bad PC, you want to make sure you do low, but if you got like a pretty good PC or just an average PC, you want to do normal. For the texture filter anastrophic, I think that's how you say it, you want to make sure you have this on high. It doesn't really affect your FPS too much. For the particle quality, you want to make sure this is on high. For some reason, you get more frames when this is on high. For the bullet impacts and sprays, I like to do enabled. For the tessellation, you want to make sure this is on all. You don't really see a difference in your FPS. For the on-demand texture streaming, I have mine on disabled. For the shadow and lighting, since the shadows take up lots of your FPS, you want to make sure this is on low. For the cache spot shadows and the sun shadows, you want to make sure this is on enabled. You get more frames. For the particle lightning, you want to make sure this is on low. This will heavily reduce the FPS. For the direct X-ray tracing, you want to make sure this is on disabled. For the ambient occlusion, you want this on disabled. Screen space reflection, you want this on disabled. Post-processing effects, filmic strength 0, and video DLSS. This thing is pretty weird. It's always buggy. I see lots of videos of like showing people how it's like buggy or sometimes how it doesn't always work. And so because of that, I just have mine on disabled, and I recommend you to have on disabled because again, this thing doesn't really work how it's supposed to. For the anti-aliasing, you want this on T2X. Say you don't got the best PC, you might want to lower this to like off, and if you have this on off, you might want to increase it a little bit just so the game looks a little bit better. But I do recommend for like 90% of the population to have this on filmic just because it makes the game look way better. You actually can see your enemies, make it so you can win more gunfights. For the depth of field, you want this on disabled. World motion blur disabled. For the weapon motion blur, obviously disabled. You don't want your gun to be looking like a blur. You don't want the world to look like a blur. For the film grain, if you want your game to actually look good, I don't even know why film grain is in games, but if you want the game to look good, you want this on 0. For the dynamic resolution disabled, and then this thing doesn't matter because it goes off the dynamic resolution. And so with all that said, I think that is going to wrap it up for the settings of this video. For my next video, it's going to be over all the controller and the audio settings. I just want to kind of break it apart just so I have the PC in one video and then controller in the other video. Oh yeah, for the Nvidia filters, if you guys want the best Nvidia filters, there might be better ones out there, but these are like the best ones for me. And so you might want to go to like a couple different videos and find which one works best for you, because I feel like it kind of varies on the monitor you have. But so anyways, you want to do Control-Alt-Z to pull it up, and then you want to go over to game filter. For the first filter you want to add is going to be on details. I have my sharpen at 71%, the clarity is going to be at 100%, HDR toning 45%, and then the bloom is going to be at 0%. After you add the details, you want to go over to color, and then you want to add the tint color to 0, tint intensity to 0, the temperature 0, and then the vibrance to 78.9. And lastly, for the brightness and contrast, you want to go over to exposure 0%, contrast 43%, highlight 75%, shadows negative 100%, and then gamma at 0%. And again, it might vary compared to your monitor, and so if the game doesn't look best with these ones, then I would go to another video and just keep on doing that until you find the best ones for you. So with all that said, that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys did find this video helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button or even that subscribe button. That would be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, I hope all of you have a great rest of your day, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.